What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we sit at the beginning of the pre-releases for OP-10. OP pre-releases are starting this weekend, Royal Blood pre-releases are starting this weekend, and this is wonderful news because OP-10 Royal Blood seems like a very cool set. There's a lot of stuff in there that we like, and there are many things about which we should be getting a little bit excited. It's also that point where I have to come along and say, hang on a second, you really need to stop buying singles for this set. It is way too early, and frankly, some of the prices that I'm seeing, and it's very early, don't get me wrong, but some of the prices I'm seeing here are absolutely absurd. Let's take Kazan. This is one of the most ridiculous that I've seen in a little while. Now, this Kazan is clearly a beautiful card, don't get me wrong. I appreciate the artwork on this Kazan card. It is absolutely stunning. It is a great looking card. Not only that, but it's actually a very good card as well. Cannot be removed from the field by your opponent's effects, and it's got an activate main that lets you trash this character, draw a card, and then play a Blackbeard Pirates card of a cost of 5 or less other than Kazan from your trash. So basically, you play it down, and then when you're ready, you draw a card to essentially replace it, because you played it from your hand and drew a card, it's been replaced, but then you get to reuse a Blackbeard Pirates card. And you're playing a 5 cost to play a 5 cost. But the point here is that you're essentially using Kazan as a proxy here for a card where you really want to play a 5th copy, but you can't. Or a card where you really want to find your 4th copy or your 3rd copy in your deck, but for whatever reason, you just can't get it out. It won't come out. Well, wonderful news, ladies and gentlemen. This will do it very nicely. I'm saying it's a great card. I'm saying it's a beautiful card. I am also saying that these multiple listings for $120 to $150 are absolutely absurd, ridiculous, borderline insulting. Because yes, it's a great card, yes, it's a beautiful card, and yes, it is going to see a bunch of play. But $120 to $150? No. And look, Blackbeard is going to be one of the best decks in the OP-10 meta. At least if we go by what happened in Japan, which we should, Blackbeard is going to be one of the best decks in the OP-10 meta. And yes, if you look at pretty much any Blackbeard deck list that's been good in Japan, you will see 4 copies of Kazan. Great card, staple in one of the best decks in the format, beautiful alternate art. I am making an argument for why this should be the biggest alternate art in the set. I'm making an argument for why this should be a very sought after card. But the prices are absolutely ridiculous. Let's have a look at over in Japan, right? Where again, everybody knows how good this card is. Everybody knows the deal with this card. Nobody is getting surprised by how big it is. It's like 3,000 yen, the alternate art. It's just like a standard high-level alternate art. Now, to put that into context, let's equate it with an OP-09 card, because that's a set that's currently out now, so we can actually have a look at the English prices as well. That would be pretty much in line with Leader Luffy or the special rare Don Quixote Rocinante. That's basically where we are here. To be fair, OP-09, a lot of the leaders and the special rares are actually pretty cheap right now, but Don Quixote Rocinante is the lowest of them, is where I'm going with this. So that's about the value we should be looking at. That's roughly where we are. In Japan, these 3 cards are the same price. Well, over here, if we have a look at Leader Luffy, that is a $45 card right now. And if we have a look at the Don Quixote Rocinante, the special rare, that's about a $75 card right now. Bearing in mind, over here, we're still paying a bit of an OP-09 tax. So, if it was around about a $50 to $70 card, I'd look at this and go, okay, makes sense. That's roughly where we are over in Japan. This is one of the big alternate arts in the set. And It's a card which is pretty sought after, is seeing a bunch of play. Seems expensive, but I get it. But 120 to 150? No! Not even close. Alternate arts generally don't get this high. Alternate art characters. Over in Japan, it's just a teensy bit more expensive than the alternate art Black Maria from OP-08. It's about 20% above the Black Maria from OP-08. So if we have a look at the price of the Black Maria from OP-08, it's a $20 card. Now, we know that prices in Japan and over here are not always the same. I grant you on all of that, which is why I've given you a selection, a leader, a special rare, and an alternate art that are all around about the same price. And leaders and special rares, especially here compared to Japan, do get a little bit inflated. But the point is, I showed you a bunch, and none of them even come close. The Kazan is a very hyped card right now, and it's a great card, but the price is absurd. But how about some more? There's a new type of card in OP-10. It is the manga events like Royal Blood. And the listing we currently got on eBay for this is $150. People are thinking this could be a $150 card. And here's the thing, right now, we don't have any real basis for comparison because this is a brand new type of card. What we can do, however, is have a look over in Japan again at the relative price of this card. Anybody think this is a ridiculously expensive card? The answer is obviously not, of course. It's about a 5,000 yen card, which isn't cheap, don't get me wrong. I mean, from a raw conversion, if we just literally put 5,000 yen into US dollars, it's like $34. It's actually very cheap. But we all know cards are a little bit cheaper over in Japan. So again, we look to find some kind of comparison. We equate it to another card that's about 5,000 yen. How about the special red dragon from OP-9? Let's try and keep it a little bit more recent. Go with more recent sets here. And to be fair, that is a $110 card, but it's also been going up lately. So maybe $150 is a little bit closer than we thought. Or maybe if I'm equating it to a card that's 110, which is like 30% less, maybe we just, wait a little bit. Because we all know the prices of these are going to be coming down, right? They always do. It just strikes me that these cards, people are basically going, right, well, Kazan, massively hyped card, let's pump it up. Divine Departure, well, it's a brand new cover card, people don't know how big this is going to be, let's try hard. I mean, what about the Manga Law? Because the Manga Law right now, there aren't that many listings on eBay, but there are a couple. Cheapest one that I found in English was $830. They're generally around $850 to $9, but there's one listing here for $830. As always, please do be careful when you're buying on eBay. There is always a chance that the slightly cheaper versions are slightly cheaper for a reason. But let's just assume everything is above board and nice and easy. $830 right now is as cheap as we're getting. But I've told you guys on this channel that Trafalgar Law, it's not a big manga rare. It's not one of the big fancy manga rares that everyone's going crazy over. Like, to use it as a bit of a comparison, over in Japan, this is a 60,000 yen manga rare, which does put it above Silver's Rally from OP-08, admittedly. It's higher than that one, but that's about it. Oh, and obviously the Usopp from OP-0, sorry, Soja King. I could possibly have that mistake. From OP-03. But they're the only two it's higher than. It is less than all the other manga rares. It is not one of the big manga rares. It is not that sought after. I mean, to put it another way, it is 25% lower than Boa Hancock. Well, right now, Boa Hancock is a $500 manga rare. So, if this is lower than this, and like I say, it's the third lowest manga rare we've seen so far, Why am I paying $850 for a card that should settle lower than this $500 card? Yeah, that's kind of the point I'm making here, ladies and gentlemen. What we see pretty much across the board is that these cards are massively inflated, ridiculously inflated. And there's many different ways we can look at it, comparisons to other cards or whatever. But basically, Trafalgar Law should be one of the lowest manga rares. And right now, it's being priced higher than a bunch of them. And that is frankly a little bit silly. But there is one card which is starting to get a little bit over the top. It's Usohachi. The one listing I found this morning was for $250. And I do worry that this is a card that could get silly. Now again, in terms of the Japanese version, it's nothing like this. And look, this is a very playable card. It's the one that came around in Starter Deck 18. Very playable card. And it's obviously a special rare with low pull rates and all of that. So I totally get the fact that this is a pretty big deal. As far as cards go, this should be pretty big. And certainly over in Japan, it is the biggest of the special rares in the set. As it should be, incidentally. Because it is a very, very, very cool card. But $250? Really? And this is the one where I do have to contend the answer might be yes. Because I found another special rare that right now is priced exactly the same over in Japan. It's the Boa Hancock. And from OP-10. And that is a $230 card. Now, it's gone up to a $230 card, admittedly. But right now, this and Usohachi in Japan are the same price. And this is a $230 card. So in that regard, we could make the argument that this card could actually get this high. Now again, in terms of raw value in Japan, these are 13,000 yen cards. These are $87 cards. But they should be nowhere near $250. The Japanese version is a sub $90 card. However, we all know that the English cards are a little bit more expensive, and this is trending in line with the Boa Hancock. And to be fair, the Boa Hancock is that high. We would be relying on it being one of the absolute biggest of the special rares, but there is a chance it actually does. I still think it's going to come down from $250, let's be clear, but this is a big card, and it is trending, like I say, in line of a card that is holding that much value in the West at least. Do we really think it's going to be more than 50% higher than the Onami special rare? I'm not convinced, ladies and gentlemen, because that's like a $160 card right now. But maybe it will. Maybe that's where we're headed. I still think this one is too high, but I'm just telling you that right now, there is at least a reason why we could look at this and go, hang on a second, that is actually a very expensive card comparatively, and maybe this could be a thing. Certainly want to keep an eye on. The main message here is, as I've showed you, these cards are dumb right now. They are way too expensive, and you definitely, if at all possible, should be holding off and not buying them yet. Unless you want to, or you've got a good reason to, in which case do. I'm not your dad, unless you're Daisy, Archie, or Ruben, in which case, hi. Thank you for making it this far in the video. Bit weird, but there we go. But otherwise, do what you like. This is just friendly advice on your old pal Wassy. For now, I want to know what you think. I want to know what your chase cards for the set are. I want to know which cards you're going to be trying to pick up. So let me know in the comment section. Good us. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy. That's where we talk about One Piece and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassy Plays.